Come on, let's do it. Tuesday morning, is it the 20th? I think it's May 20th. 6 a.m., 6:11 a.m., and I'm happy to say I'm back on the 5 o'clock rise schedule. I got off it for a while. I missed it. Hitting that snooze button. If you jump out of bed at 5, or at least me, this is my life, my experience, I get so much accomplished. The rest of the day, even at work and in the evening when I get home, is much improved. I've got a ton done already. We still have the cabbage from Saturday.
I love coleslaw.
That never got turned into slaw. So there's no time like the present. Last night I made some 40-minute hamburger rolls because I brought salad to work, but every now and then I like a treat for my lunch at work, a nice sandwich. So I'm bringing a tuna sandwich. Never get tired of it. My mom started feeding me when I was a little kid in Brooklyn. But let's make the coleslaw. It's super simple. There's all sorts of fancy versions you'll see with purple cabbage and apples and slaw, baby. Simple, simple, simple. Meet me at the marble right here behind me. I've got everything laid out already. Come on, let's do it.
Come on, let's do it.
All right, green cabbage. I've got 2 carrots, already peeled them, and here's the peels because I'm going to pull a few leaves off the outside of the cabbage, and then I'll chop all this up for the hens. They love it. They're like little garbage disposals and fertilizer machines. All right, so I'll just take a few of the leaves off the outside. And then we've got, like I said, simple, simple. We're going to use a little Hellmann's, touch of sour cream, apple cider vinegar. Some people use lemon juice. I might put a few drops. I like the variety of acid. Produces a nice effect. And of course, salt, pepper, the usual suspects. So, let's take the core out. Get rid of that. And I'll cut this in half into 2 manageable pieces. Do the same with this side, and we are going to use the mandolin. You can chop this by hand, but as I said, it's Tuesday morning. I've got to get showered and ready for work. So what we're going to use is, we'll get this big bowl out, and I'm going to use the old mandolin. Now, I told you, this thing scares the hell out of me for good reason. I see these chefs. Okay, I'll start like this, but I don't even let it get close, right? Even that makes me nervous. So I go with the safety blade. And with cabbage, it could be tricky. I've got my thumb on there. But there, now finally I got a grip. And this gives a nice shred to the cabbage. Look. So I will shred this all up. I'm going to do the same with the carrot. By the way, I have another blade for this thing that's smaller notches. So I'll do the carrot. We'll get them both in there, and then we'll proceed with the slaw. Okay, I did discover something. I don't need to use all this cabbage. I can chop it for the chickens, or I can save it and chop it with a knife later and make a nice little braised cabbage dish. In fact, I think I'll do that. So, in the interest of safety, I discovered a little technique here, kind of by accident. I'm slicing this part of the cabbage, and if I take it up here, keep my fingers under, knuckles down, just like when you're chopping. All right, it's not as harrowing to me because the cabbage is actually the guard, and I'm just not going to allow it to get close enough. I don't need a giant thing of slaw. I'm not going to a party or anything. This is just for me. That's almost enough right there, but I have one more piece, so let's get some of that. And then I have my freezer bags. I'll put the rest of this cabbage in the fridge, and I'll make a nice braised cabbage dish. Or I'll slice it by hand and make a little sauerkraut, a little quick pickled sauerkraut. Doesn't have to be a long storage one. And I think there we go. nice little bit of slaw. Let me switch the blade while we're at it. So, you guessed it. You should always know with these gadgets and gear. This is an old Vincenzo tool that I inherited. So it's got a couple of different blades. The carrots are already peeled. And this, I won't even get close enough to the blade to worry about the safety aspect. I'll just do, because you just need a little bit of carrot in there for color, sweetness. So I'll take that to work. I'll munch on it, a little snack before lunchtime. I often bring carrot and celery and snack items. In fact, there we go. Get rid of that. So before I even get close to the safety zone, I've got enough carrot for my slaw. There we go. Nice little tool. Let's mix, look at the ratio. Looks good to me. Just need a little bit for color. And now let's go with some salt. Black pepper. And I'm going to go totally eyeball with this. A little apple cider vinegar. I like to stir it up to get a little of the mother in there. Don't need much. We're going to adjust. Mayo. Yes, it's from the store. Good old Hellman's. Touch of sour cream. Not quite as much as the mayo. And let's mix all this together. Oh, I did say I might put a little lemon juice, didn't I? But let's taste first, because we got the cider vinegar in there. It's a stray, unshaved piece. Let's use that for QC. Oh, that's really all you need. A nice, simple. I will add a little more pepper. Which, by the way, for me, is as much visual as anything else. I love the little flecks. I think, just with the eyeball, I nailed it. Let's see. Yeah. You know what? It's out, and it's been cut. I'm going to go with a little bit of lemon. I almost was going to say more vinegar, but let's go with the multi-acid effect for variety. Another pinch of salt. I think there's enough mayo, but a little more is not going to hurt. So I added lemon juice, up the salt and pepper a little, small extra dollop of mayo, and I think we have a slaw. Yes, we do. That's beautiful. Tuna fish sandwich, side of coleslaw. I'm good to go for Tuesday lunch. Okay, definitely a short episode this week, but got to use the cabbage. I don't like things sitting around going to waste or losing quality. So, perfect timing. You know, last week I told you I changed in midstream. Beautiful. And I was cooking on Saturday afternoon just before guests arrived. Tom Buddy, the other guest, did arrive a little later, so he wasn't on camera, but Tom Buddy and I started eating some pasta in the meantime, and you know, it was a bit of a, I'll say, last minute off to the races to get everything edited and up by Sunday. So now it's Tuesday. I can take my time this week editing. Oh, The cider vinegar, in my opinion, is key. You can use anything you want, white distilled, red wine, white wine. But the cider vinegar, for me, is the key. Alright, I better not eat it all now. I still need to shower. Finish my coffee, which doesn't exactly go with coleslaw. Fill the hummingbird feeders. I still got a bunch of stuff to do. Last night went down to 42, I think. So I was out there like at sundown, covering up pepper plants with blankets, putting buckets over eggplant plants in the ground. It was crazy. But I wrote in my notes this morning, next year, no peppers, no eggplants go in the ground till Memorial Day at the earliest. I still haven't put my tomatoes in, thankfully, because they get stressed and then you don't get as much fruit. Gotta let that ground warm up. I tend to get ahead of myself. Alright, I'll see you all for the next episode.
Come on, let's do it.